Recording. 3, 2, 1. So hi, I'm Mary Beth Hepp-Elam, and I'm the School to Career Coordinator here at Churchill High School. Today we have in Careers and Business, we have Jazzmen Vega-Heath, who is on the Board of Directors for the Oregon Black Business Alliance and other cultural events, and also David Tam, who has Tam Global Consultants, and he is also the director for the Asian celebration. So we're going to start with Jazzmen, who will tell us about her career pathway. And by the way, Jazzmen is a Churchill graduate.
Hi. So again, my name's Jazzmen. I graduated from Churchill back in '04. Don't try to do the math. At the time that I did go to Churchill, it was a good experience for me. It had just started to become a diverse school in the community. And so at the time, the group of students that I was with, we were able to organize our own cultural awareness classes that were designed just because we had experienced different situations in just navigating as students in school. We were able to turn our experiences from just being discriminated against and turning it into a positive, and using the fact that the school opened a platform for us to develop a class to have a moment of just educating our teachers at the time that were having first-time experiences, interacting with students of color, and also students that were attending school with students of color. So, I mean, I really appreciate my time at Churchill because they opened up that door to us. And it was there that I also got into doing event coordinating. That was just like the beginning baby steps into it, because we were able to plan African-American student assemblies and facilitate what the program was going to look like. We even had our own dance team at the time, and we were able to perform at other high schools. We had a ball while we were there at Churchill, and I have developed great connections with faculty that taught while I was there and work on projects with them in the community as well. Right now, I am Vice President of the Oregon Black Business Alliance. The Oregon Black Business Alliance Foundation's mission is to support the growth and development of the Black and minority-owned business owners throughout the state of Oregon. We're open to the general public. We definitely are focused on the Black community because we want to aid there. But at the same time, we're open to serving the state of Oregon as a whole. Our goal is to help develop educational programs, resources, and accessible base of information to assess Black and minority business owners, and providing opportunities for business owners, professionals, and leaders, and to network and develop an awareness of businesses and services offered by African-American members within the community. Currently, I'm working on a Black Business Summit, and our goal is to just network Black business owners in the community and get them just communicating and talking to each other and networking. Something that I feel that with us living as a marginalized community here in the state of Oregon, sometimes we can be scattered throughout the state and not really reach out to each other. And so we want to develop a platform where we can have mixers and business owners can get together and network and strategize on how they can be successful in the community. What else? I am also a co-founder of the Ultimate Women's Society. We go over just empowering women to live their life to their best potential. So whatever goal that they set, we just help provide them with information, getting them to that right place where it is that they want to be. Is there any questions for me? Not at this time. All right, well, I think I'll just pass it on to David.
Thanks, Jazzmen, and great work, by the way, that you do in the community. It's invaluable that we share our experiences with others to help them grow and understand the importance of, building businesses and supporting communities of color. Also, thank you, Mary Beth, for the opportunity to speak. I speak often with students at University of Oregon and other schools talking about kind of my career path and where I've gone. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a background about where I grew up, who I am, where I'm from, and where I'm going in the future. And then I will close off with a image at the end that ties it all together with intent. So I grew up in Portland. I was born in Portland, Oregon, and then I grew up in a small coastal town called Depot Bay, Oregon. You guys know what that is? That's in between Lincoln City and Newport. The time I was there, a population of about 650 people. My parents still own a Chinese restaurant there. We've been there for 47 years almost now. I went to a high school known as Taft High School, which was considered a small 3A school. My graduating class in '93, so you can do the math, was about 93 people, actually, right on the dot. So a very small class of people, and I share this because my school is predominantly Caucasian, and I was one of two people that were not Caucasian in my entire school. So diversity was not prevalent where I'm at, where I was born and raised, where I was raised, and still not to this day. I share this because it's important about my trajectory. It was important at a young age. I understood and was proud of the fact that I was different. It was pointed out to me that I was different by my fellow classmates, mostly in negative ways. But that's kind of what inspired me to push my agenda of pushing diversity and being proud of who you are and kind of the whole sense of who you are. Give a little more background. I had a sister 8 years younger than me. We had very different perspectives. But I was young. I embraced who I was. I learned Chinese. I speak 2 dots of Chinese, and I've done business internationally, especially with my business. My sister, on the other hand, who was also Chinese, felt society pressures of being a little bit different, and she wanted the idea of being blonde hair, blue eyed because that's what society wanted her to be. So I'm just giving you guys a little background. I know it's a little bit in depth, a little personal, but it's also important to understand that that's what drives a lot of who I am and where I go. So during my time, what has gone on is I have become I'm now the president of the Asian Council. We are the overarching organization that oversees the other minority group nonprofits and like Japanese American Association, Chinese American Association, Filipino American Association, and so forth. I previously just rolled off serving 8 years in the governor's office, advising them. Once as the vice chair for the Oregon Commission on Asian Pacific Islander Affairs, dealing and addressing Asian American issues throughout the state and advising the governor how to best approach these situations. And then, as Mary Beth had announced, I'm also the executive director of the Asian Celebration, and I have been the chair of the celebration, director of celebration for, I believe, this is my 20th year, or maybe the 21st year. I've lost track of time. Been in Eugene for a long time. I'm a duck. All right, so kind of where does all that kind of culminate to? Me being a small business owner and growing up in rural Oregon, I have learned a lot about business and politics. As you can imagine, being the only Chinese family in Depot Bay, you have to do a little bit of both. And my parents are my inspiration. They kicked me onto entrepreneurship. I run 2 companies. I own 2 companies. I run 3. And let me explain what that means. Is essentially, I have my own renewable energy company where I design and build what we call microgrids. And I also have my own consulting company where we consult on the majority of business matters, helping for entrepreneurship, development. And on multiple levels, we have a lot of stuff and work we do with economic development. So the two companies I own there, my third entity that I actually work for is a Native American tribe. I actually am the CEO of an organization called Graceful Management Solutions, which is the economic development arm for Native American tribe in Kansas, 4,500 members across the United States, about 400 people actually live on the reservation itself. And I oversee everything economic development. And currently we're establishing 16 8A federal contracting companies currently at this moment. And I help them start up their own businesses, such as I've developed a hemp program for the Native American tribe, tire business, for logistical trucking company business, and so forth. So I kind of do a lot of things in the business side sector, and I work a lot with lobbyists out of DC to support some of our larger grant funding opportunities. I share all this with you because I'm not trying to brag, which it sounds like a lot can be, but I want to share that coming from a small town with not knowing how big the world really is, and I've been doing deals in Asia for many years. The world is a very big place. There is tremendous amount of opportunity in a lot of areas. It's all about following your dreams and your passion. And it's also about, doing what is important to you and gives you heart to drive. So, he'll talk about careers and opportunities. I have two fundamental rules. One is become very knowledgeable in what you do and why you do it, and then also have really good heart behind it. It has to be a passion of yours. If you go into accounting and you're like, oh, this is really drab and boring and it sucks, I don't want to do it, don't do it. Pivot. And especially, you're talking about this coming from a guy that is raised in a very traditional Chinese family where I'm supposed to be a doctor or an attorney, or a CPA, and follow that stereotype of playing piano and good at math. I am not good at math, unless it's business math, and I don't play piano. And of course, I didn't become a doctor or CPA because I wanted to follow my passion. I wanted to really make sure that I was loving what I do. And that's what I do today. I love what I do because I feel that my contribution, small or large, can make change either to one individual or to an entire community. So I love the uniqueness of challenges. I love those drives. And I think as far as opportunities in the future are going, no matter what your political beliefs are, infrastructure is going to be a really important one. I got into the energy business, renewable energy business for a purpose, is because I don't believe in the utility system. I'm kind of a guy that pushes the envelope a little bit, and I think that we should have self-sustained energy systems. And then I also love business. For the fact that I grew up in business, I also love the fact of changing the time. So all my work is based around that. I just ask you guys just to find out where your passion lies, and don't be afraid to pivot and try new things. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself. If you told me years ago that I could make a professional living and becoming a professional gamer, I would have thought, no way, it's not possible. But technology has changed. Here we are today. I'm a Bitcoin investor. I didn't know if there's a real thing or not, but it is. So don't be afraid to take those challenges and take those risks, and don't be afraid to fail. Failure is your number one educator. It hurts like heck, but it also teaches you a lot and can grow a lot. I'm going to go toward the end of my part of the presentation here, but I really want to kind of give you a little more sense of how did I get to where I'm at, and what was most people ask me, what was my key to success in doing what I do? And I will tell you, the number one thing you can do is learn to be diplomatic, have good relationships, and networking is your most fundamental key. I cannot stress it enough. I have never paid for advertising my business. I've never paid, let me go backwards. I paid to have a website built. That was about it. But I've never paid for social media. I never paid any type of advertising on TV, anything else, because if you do good work that is with your heart, with good intention, that will spread. That will gain and go far beyond your imagination. And the next part of it is don't be afraid to ask for help. Networking is about asking for help. And so I'm going to screen share one of my favorite things to share. Well, bear with me. I'm going to share this, but really I want to share this. We all know what this is, right? Star Wars, right? Okay, you guys. Don't. I'm a big Star Wars nerd myself. I'm not afraid to admit that. But this is a good old Lord of the Rings. Frodo had a mission. He had a goal, right? Gandalf has an advice. He has insight. Every one of these characters play a different role in someone's future. This is kind of the way I look at my career. I kind of look at it as I am the kind of the Frodo when I started my career. And I had this long journey that's supposed to be a simple plan, but we all know there's trials and tribulations in everything we do. If people see the work that you're doing and understand the work that you're doing, and you even have friends, right? Your friends can help you out. They see that, they see the passion, they see the goal and desires. They see what you want on your journey. You're going to need help in your entire career. You have school counselors, you have mentors, you have your grandparents, you have your parents. Everyone has advice and can provide support. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Because if you don't ask for help and you think you can do everything on your own, you're bound to fail in your destiny. So that, I just want to say, look forward, think strong, plan ahead, provide passion, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because you know what, your networking and relationships are key to any growth in any business that you do, no matter if it's a coffee shop or you're going to be a CEO of a large corporation. Those are my important points. That's all I have to share. Any questions for Jazzmen or I? And don't be shy.
Well, thank you to both of you for bringing your insight to our students. I really appreciate it. Students, I noticed, haven't typed anything yet, but I guess a question to both of you. I know, Jazzmen, your path into the business world was less academic than maybe David's, but you've taken classes, and how did you gain that experience that you have in your business now, and as a person on these different cultural boards, where do you think you gained that experience?
I gained my experience through, definitely, I feel like David touched on a point that I completely realized has been a big part of my journey, which is not being afraid to change paths as adversities come at me. I've had the ability to realize, okay, well, I am no longer in this realm, so I can pivot and try this dream that I had. No dream deferred is a dead end road, honestly. I originally had a dream to go to culinary school. I went to Western Culinary Institute in Portland, and I wanted to be a traveling chef. And I completed half of my courses. School became expensive, but I still had that passion, and I still loved cooking. And cooking opportunities began to come up with just doing volunteer work. I love volunteering my time in the community, and I had an opportunity to go as a camper at it's an organization called Culture Jam. It's out in Veneta at the country fairgrounds. It's a week-long camp for youth. I came as a youth just to experience it, and I ended up loving it to the point where I continued going for at least 6 years, and I came on as staff. In my time volunteering there, I gained so many skills. I was able to cook and serve in the kitchen that we have there, and everything that is on the grounds, we cook what is grown there. And then there is donations that come in from the community. And I had the opportunity to cook for the whole entire campsite, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it showed me like, okay, I can run a kitchen. Even though culinary school didn't work out, I still gained those skill sets on how to run a larger scale like kitchen. And also within that experience, I learned leadership roles with taking on opportunities to lead workshops at the camp. I led a poetry workshop, and I hadn't necessarily wrote a poem that I felt brave enough to share in front of 2 people, and I was able to do it in front of a camp of 80 fellow youth and camp advisors. So I strongly believe in constantly taking chances on yourself and just throwing yourself into experiences and finding things that you didn't know that you were good at. I mean, and as far as like coordinating events, I know that I have the ability to come up with ideas and people are like, oh, that's great. That's amazing. We should definitely do that. Finding myself in rooms where people are brainstorming and they feel like, oh, we should plan and organize Juneteenth, which was totally something that happened last year. Me being a New York native, I grew up going to Juneteenth celebrations in New York City and going to block parties and festivals. I knew exactly what a festival looked like and what drew people in. And so sitting in these brainstorm sessions, and I'm just like, okay, what if we had a parade, a DJ, what if we did this? And folks are not thinking of those things because we just have we have a different way of doing things in Oregon. And it's not to say that we don't put on great celebrations, they're just different. And we have our own culture that we provide here that represents Oregon as a whole. But when you bring in just a piece of yourself into the celebration, you'd be surprised on those components standing out to other individuals and them wanting to pull you in on other projects. And that is where just my experience has been just a blessing, being able to like bounce my ideas off of individuals and them receive it, and people coming to me and providing me the ability to be like, okay, well, can you plan this for me? And me stepping into my power and just doing that and executing it.
Awesome. Thank you. And how about you, David? Where do you think, I know you talked about it a little bit in your presentation, but what avenues have brought you, have been the biggest skill builders for you? You're on mute.
All right, yeah. So my biggest skill builders is just really talking to people and really listening to their challenges. And I'm the kind of guy that people ask me, can you do it? And I say yes. I always say yes because I will figure it out, and I'll get a few people to help figure that out. So I'm not afraid of the challenge of it, but I also know that I also think, it's important to understand, where your skills lie and your team's skills lie, and are you able to really execute, right? Because there's some projects that either I don't believe in or I don't think are right fits for the type of work that we do, and we'll just be honest with people. But I think the biggest skill build for me, I would agree, is also just volunteering. Volunteering is a really good aspect, especially if you're young and trying to build your career, because it gives you the ability to network with other individuals that are already in that space that you're helping support that effort. So you're actually able to learn, let's say you join the finance committee because you want to learn more of some accounting practices. You join the marketing committee of the organization because you want to learn a little more about marketing and do a litmus test on some of your ideas that you want to try to execute. Those are areas that nonprofits is not something about your career, but you learn a lot of skill set there. And then I also think that in those environments, you learn about hierarchy a lot, and you learn about diplomacy a lot, because sometimes your idea makes it someone else's idea, and how do you find medium ground to actually make it a reality. Or you also have to figure out how do you handle situations. So I think I think if my encouragement, I have a 14-year-old, soon to be 15-year-old son. He'll be going to North, but is that I always taught him the fact is that listening to people and volunteering is probably some of the best ways you can do, because if he volunteers to somebody else, he has to report somebody else. He's got some sort of responsibility to follow through. That's not just with his father, for example, right? So volunteering is going to always be key. And I think that some cases volunteer, like for celebration, we love to have young volunteers do stuff because, you know, a high schooler's idea of how to market and network for that demographic is different than how I would do it. And it's different because I don't understand it as well as they do, right? There's all these other apps or social media platforms that they're all using to communicate and share ideas and so forth. I don't even tweet, you know, so those are just some of the young, some of the ideas that we always love to see, and we encourage you to get more involved. And I think when you start to learn a sense of community and you do something big or small, there's a sense of personal pride that you have by doing that. And I think that builds a lot of character. So if you're not actually employed and working a full-time job now and want to build your skill sets in different areas, I think volunteering for organizations is a really good path to start. And I think that should continue into college. And then if you're interested in government, then go that route. Or if you're interested in just like volunteer making meals, do that. But you know, you start to discover passion, and that doing those kind of things and those small wins, big or small wins, are really important to build confidence. And that confidence is what's, you know, catapult your career in a lot of ways. And like, well, Jazzmen feels good that she can serve meals for 80 people, for example, cook for the whole camp if she needed to, or public speaking, you know, talking about poems. Those are all things that she felt comfortable in that environment to express herself and to test something out. And that helps build confidence in a lot of ways. So I can't express that enough. Volunteering and networking always keep, and networking, asking for help and sharing your ideas with somebody. Say, hey, look, you're a professional in this area, or you're so I have an idea. What do you think about this idea? Don't be afraid to share your ideas and ask for that help.
That's great. I often, I don't know if any of the students here today were at my getting hired for the summer and beyond workshop, but I often tell students that businesses expect when they're hiring teens that you don't have a deep resume. You don't have a lot of experience. Good grief, you're 16 years old, 17, but that experiencing in volunteering creates a sense that not only are you thinking about your community, but that you're showing that you can work and, you know, come to a volunteer, what do I want to say, whenever you're scheduled, and you can be there, show up and put in your hours. But the side benefit for you as you're doing these volunteer work for other people is you're building your skills. You're building your skills in organizational methods, or just being able to, maybe like Jazzmen said, is speaking in public. And those are things that you can put on your resume in addition to being able to feel good about volunteering and giving back to your community, but also building your skills and being able to have those in your toolbox. So I want to thank Jazzmen and David for being here today to talk from the business perspective, not only for what they do, but what they do out in the community, and how that is a good way to help build your skills. I'm going to stop recording now, and we